Good morning. So responsive. I love that. So I was asked to speak today about why I raise my children in a spiritual community like Christ Church. I realize there's one version of my answer that goes something like this. In this day and age, it's rare to find a place where we can teach guidance on issues of morality, charity, decency, and faith. Awash as we are in a sea of digitized culture, crippling social anxiety, polarized and hostile argument, and encroaching environmental catastrophe, it's important to find a place to teach the fundamental ideas of goodness, of giving, of gratitude. But if I'm being honest, this isn't exactly why I bring my children here. It's something more elusive, more difficult to define. It has to do with that funny word, teach. What does it mean to teach, to learn in a spiritual environment? It's not, I believe, that we learn answers here, that we hear principles and ideas, think about them, and then apply them to our life. Well, it's not only about these things. Instead, I think the best kind of learning that happens here is not when we try to answer questions, but when we live inside the questions, when we turn them over like a prism and watch the dancing light. The scriptures are filled with great questions. In some ways, the story of humanity begins with a question. When God asks Adam, "Where art thou?" One of my favorites occurs in Luke, when an angel asks the woman at Christ's tomb, "Why seek you the living among the dead?" And of course, there's perhaps the most unanswerable question of all, "Why have you forsaken me?" The answers aren't always, if ever, given. And thank God, literally, for that. Now, I know this all sounds a little abstract. My son would be puzzled to know that while he's been playing with trucks in the nursery every week, he has in fact been participating in the grand mysteries of creation. But it is in fact in the prosaic, everyday moments of their life here, ringing the bell alongside the other children, or my daughter singing in the church mice choir, or both children sitting in awe while listening to a powerful musical recital, or both of them dancing spontaneously on stage at Barnwell. These are the moments when I'm reminded of how the most powerful answer to the unanswerable questions might be, I don't know, but we are facing them together. We are next to each other, looking at each other. A diverse community bound not by a desire to solve all our problems, but in the reassurance that we are not alone in trying. After all, the most sublime and occasionally terrifying moments of parenting often arrive when one of my kids asks a question out of nowhere about a profound aspect of life. Why should I be nice to someone who is mean to me? When someone dies, what happens to them? Does everyone in the world have a place to live? While I will, of course, break into a cold sweat and begin to stammer out a simple platitude, I've been trying more and more to stop myself and try to use their question as the beginning of an exploration for both of us. I try to model the kind of communal learning I see here every week. I try to remember the vulnerability and humility that we are all brave enough to show one another time and again. In that way, I guess, I'm finding Christ Church a pretty great place to raise myself to. Thank you.
Thank you.